Well, hello there. How is everyone? You amazing, beautiful, wonderful people. I'm sorry, this is a bit late. I was going to do this yesterday, I think, or even the day when Drip Drop did his video. You're looking absolutely amazing, by the way. Don't worry, I ain't forgotten. You're looking absolutely amazing. I don't know how you do it, but yes, we're talking about Drip Drop's video because Drip Drop did a Drip Drop dropper. He basically dropped a video that had information because he is an investigator. He investigates things to bring it to you. And I think we've all been sitting there a little bit thinking, is he going to do a video? When's he going to do a video? Come on, mate. Come on, Drip Drop. And he did. He came out. What did I take away from it? This is my takeaways from it, right? There are some really valid points that Drip Drop made, like with reference to the K-bar purchase. We don't even know if the murder weapon was a K-bar. We don't. We've been conditioned to believe that that is likely the point. But what Drip Drop refreshes our memory with is that Kathy Mabbott almost, it was like when they said about it being that weapon, she was almost uncertain of that, like the injuries didn't match what they were saying. Do you know what I mean? And then when you pair that with statements literally word for word basically to the injuries don't match that come out of Steve Idaho's mouthpiece Gonsalves's mouth, do you know what I mean? It would suggest that it may not be quite that simple. So Drip Drop goes down this little bit of a rabbit hole and he talks about the guy who lives at the back of the house who has subsequently moved away. Apparently, I can't say because I didn't do the investigation. I'm just commenting on the information that's been put before me. But apparently, this guy, and don't get me wrong, he's got a very nice camera in there of a lady sitting there, sort of in a sexy pose, a bit like me. Like, I don't know. I look more like that monkey out of the Lion King. But do you know what I mean? You can't say that someone who has a sexy calendar. I'll get there in a minute. Sexy calendar is a killer because there'd be a lot of killers about. I may have been a killer a long time ago, obviously not now, or I'd be the victim of a killer. But yeah, he's trying to suggest that this guy could potentially be Papa Rogers, and is that possible? It's certainly possible. He does make a connection to this guy. And when I say connection, I mean it's more of a, if you look into things long enough, you can draw certain similarities to the situation, such as this house has an eyeball on 1122 King Road. And there was a comment that was made by Papa Rogers saying that did the person walk to this crime scene? Did they drive, or was it a mixture of two? And Drip Drop had kind of turned around and said, well, this guy could have driven home or driven, driven from somewhere it was out and then walked round and through and down to this house. And who knows? Maybe it is, but that wasn't the biggest part of this. That at the back of the house and that guy, could he be something to do with it? He absolutely could. Is it a bit dodgy that he moved away? Again, it's like everything, isn't it? When you just the guy's moved away and he'd had a load of fucking issues with the neighbours that he clearly didn't fucking like. He'd apparently reported the noise, etc. Was he just a moaning bastard and that area got a bit too much and he just fucked off and walked on out of it? It's possible. But again, you can't take it off the table because ultimately, if Bryan Kohberger didn't do this crime, then someone else did. And that's when you have to then start looking at the behaviour of the people around his house. So, Drip Drop, by talking about this, he has raised my curiosity as to, is this guy a potential in the event that Bryan Kohberger is absolutely proven to not be the person who did this crime? He very well could be. But it was things that he talked about, Drip Drop talks about, with reference to like the K-bar purchase, for instance. And the K-bar purchase, which we just started talking about before I threw myself for a loop, and I don't know where I am anymore. Loads of people buy them. They're bought all over the place. Just because you buy one, it don't mean that you used it for this crime. Just doesn't, and you don't even know if that is actually the weapon that did this. You just don't. You just don't know. There was a sheath there, but you don't really know how the sheath got there, whether the sheath was there in the first place, whether anything. You don't know anything because at present we don't have a murder weapon. We don't, and what we've been told would seem to suggest that it weren't quite as simple as that. But again, so we have to stick a pin in it and wait. So then we go down the route of the balaclava, where Drip Drop will show you statistics. It was certainly around this time, which was the C19 area. We're just going to say the C19 era, the area that was everywhere, especially here because we fucked that right up. But do you know what I mean? So he's in Pennsylvania, which is freezing as fuck, and he's bought a mask, like a ski mask, to keep his face warm, so he don't get his fucking bushy eyebrows frozen and fall off. Do you know what I mean? And during this period of time as well, the growth. The sales growth was exponential because they became like it was like almost like my hat. Do you know what I mean? It was near enough. People were just buying them because they were a fashion accessory. And especially when you're seeing record temperatures, lows as well. I think Drip Drop said it was like -7. -7. If that was -7 here, this whole country is shut down. There'd be the only thing you would see would be snowmen everywhere, where British people have just frozen outside in their own tears because they're complaining about the weather. So does this balaclava that he bought months ago in the winter during C19 sort of era when everyone was wearing a mask, does that mean that he's a murderer? No, it don't. Yes, obviously, and I've said this before, it moves the needle because it's like everything. Like I just said about this guy, I think his name's Moyes, I think. Mark Moyes, is it? Something like that. Something Moyes, I'm sure that's it. Because there's been a murder near him, and you can say, well, he could overlook that house and he could see literally in the fucking windows, and he's apparently already fucking complained about them. And we do also know that he had a shed with a massive great axe in there as well. But there's all sorts of things. You can say loads of things. Point being, when you take things out of context, when you just look at something on its own, it don't look dodgy. When you pair it to there's been a murder next door, and we don't think the person who's been accused done it, and you've moved away, and you also didn't like them and could see in their bedrooms, so you would have known exactly when they got in, where they were, who was in what room, likely. Do you know what I mean? You do have to raise a bushy eyebrow or two. But it was a good video. It was a good video. Thank you to those of you who reached out and said, "Look, talk about it. Talk about this video," because it's something that we have to do. We have to look at everything. We have to take everything into consideration, and ultimately, if Bryan Kohberger didn't do this crime and someone else did, and when you start hearing that there has been deaths around the fraternities, when you hear that there has been closures of fraternities because of deaths that have potentially been brushed under the rug, that there's been other students like Timmy Reed been attacked and beaten, and that was going to get pushed under the rug. Like, we haven't seen fuck all about it now. I'm guessing someone got paid off. Who knows? I might be wrong, but there's been no coverage on it since. But he was sleeping with a knife under his bed, got kicked the shit out of in the street, going to his house, about 50 of them. All sorts of stuff. You're hearing all this stuff. You're hearing the prosecutors are hiding information. They're lying about information. They're trying to tweak things, move the times of certain things happening to make things look different than what they truly are. You've got to ask questions. It's like Mr. Sexy here over at Law You Know said. Do you know what I mean? There's information that's being brought forward that if it's true, if it's accurate, then whatever side of the fucking fence you're on, that should concern you. It should worry you, because you should be thinking, we need the system to work right. It's got to work right. It's got to work proper. Because if one day, lo and behold, I get caught on the other side of it, I want to make sure that it's working properly. And all you whingy bastards who, just because we sit here and we will look through absolutely everything and not just take mainstream media's word for it, I fucking hope to God that no one, either yourself or your family or friends, ever find themselves in the same similar position where they have to depend upon nosy bastards like me and Drip Drop and Truth and Transparency, Jay Ombre. Don't always agree with Jay Ombre, but he's going to fucking dig, isn't he? He's going to dig. And I'm going to dig. Everyone's going to dig. Not everyone. Daniel Drunk Turkey, he'll just take whatever law enforcement says. Don't fucking have him on your side. Especially if you're innocent. But do you know what I mean? Be open-minded. And don't criticise those who are willing to go the 9 yards, because one day you might need someone who'll do it for you. And if I know that you've been in my comments gobbing off, I'm going to tell you go fuck yourself. Love you all. Apart from you. Mwah.